Imagine walking through a dense forest, surrounded by towering trees and exotic wildlife. It's an adventure of a lifetime, but what if you knew there was a man-eating tiger lurking in the shadows? What happens when you come face to face with a deadly predator like this? Well, we'll find out in today's video. This is the horrifying story of an innocent woman who had an encounter with a deadly tiger and had to pay the ultimate price. Stay tuned for a spine-tingling tale of bravery, fear, and tragedy. The beginning. Our story begins in the heart of the Indian jungle, where a woman named Priya had gone on a nature walk. Priya was an adventurous soul and loved to explore new places, but this time things were different. She was aware of the rumors going around about a man-eating tiger roaming in the area, but she was confident that she was safe. Nothing had happened whenever she went on one of her wildlife expeditions. In fact, nature was her best friend. It helped her stay calm and relaxed, so she decided to take the risk and let the adventure begin. Now, as time went by and the deeper Priya walked into the jungle, she couldn't help but feel a sense of unease. The sound of her footsteps echoed in the silent forest, and the rustling of leaves made her anxious. It almost felt like she was being watched. Nevertheless, she tried to shake off the feeling and continued her walk, hoping to catch a glimpse of some wildlife. As she walked, Priya noticed that the trees around her seemed to grow thicker, and the jungle became dense. She was now surrounded by tall trees, and the sunlight struggled to penetrate the canopy above. Suddenly, she heard a low growl, and her heart skipped a beat. She froze in her tracks and listened, but there was no other sound. Priya wondered if it was just her imagination, but as she turned around, she saw a glimpse of something moving between the trees. It was too quick for her to identify what it was, but she knew that it was something inhuman, something much bigger than a man's shadow. Priya's instincts kicked in, and she knew that she needed to be careful. As she walked cautiously, she kept her eyes peeled, scanning the surrounding trees for any signs of danger, trying hard not to look nervous. Suddenly there was a rustling of leaves, and she knew that something was approaching her. She turned around to face it, but what she saw left her frozen in fear. A tiger, massive and powerful, stood only a few feet away, looking straight at her with its piercing eyes. Priya tried to remain calm, but her heart was pounding so hard it felt as though it would burst out of her chest. The tiger was staring at her, and she knew that it was sizing her up, trying to decide whether she was a threat or prey. Priya had heard stories of people being attacked by tigers, and she knew that she was only one wrong move away from being its prey. She froze in fear as the tiger bared its teeth and growled menacingly. Her next move was to slowly back away, trying to keep her eyes on the tiger at all times as she felt her heart pounding in her chest. She knew that any sudden movement could provoke the tiger and turn the encounter into a deadly attack. The giant beast seemed to be sizing her up, circling around her with a predator's grace. Priya tried to remain as still as possible, hoping that the tiger would lose interest and move on, but it was clear that the animal was not going to let her go that easily. The reality soon hit her. Priya realized she was completely alone in the jungle, no weapons or tools to defend herself, and no help to be found anywhere nearby. All she had was her wits and her instincts. Slowly, the woman began to inch her way towards a nearby tree, hoping that she could climb it and escape the tiger's reach. But as soon as she took the next step, the beast lunged at her, causing her to stumble and fall to the ground. Priya could feel the tiger's hot breath on her face as it stood over her, ready to pounce. She closed her eyes and waited for the inevitable attack, bracing herself for the worst. The tiger attacked with its powerful jaws, dragging her on the ground. Priya tried to fight back, but the animal was too strong. It mauled her brutally, leaving her with severe injuries. She lay there, helpless, hoping someone would come to her rescue, but there was no one around. As the innocent woman lay there bleeding, the tiger continued to circle her, its eyes fixed on its prey. The jungle fell silent, except for the occasional roar of the man-eater. It was as if the whole forest knew that something terrible was happening. The attack was brutal, and Priya's body was torn apart. The beast showed no mercy, almost enjoying its slaughter. The once lively and adventurous Priya was now lying lifeless, a mere shadow of her former self. Slaughter is a term used to describe the killing of animals in a violent or brutal manner. In the case of Priya, the tiger's attack was a prime example of slaughter. It was a merciless and brutal act that took the life of an innocent human being. The aftermath. Hours later, the body was found by a search and rescue team. Priya had succumbed to her injuries and had died on the spot. The news of her death sent shockwaves through the community, and people started questioning the safety of exploring the jungle alone. The tiger's attack on Priya is a sobering reminder that nature can be unforgiving and that we are not always at the top of the food chain. We must respect the wild and be prepared for any situation that may arise. While the beauty and wonder of nature attract many people, there are risks involved that cannot be taken lightly. Priya's encounter with the man-eating beast was a tragic example of what can happen when people underestimate the power and unpredictability of wildlife. The news of her death spread quickly, and it prompted authorities to take action. They put out warnings and advisories, cautioning people against venturing into the jungle alone, especially during times when man-eating animals are known to be roaming freely. The incident also led to a debate about the ethics of exploring wildlife habitats and whether it should be permissible at all. Some argued that humans should not interfere with nature. Others, however, pointed out the educational and scientific value of such explorations. By studying wildlife and its habitats, we can learn more about the world we live in and make better informed decisions about how to protect it. Regardless of which side of the debate one takes, Priya's death was a tragedy that should never be forgotten. Slaughter can happen without warning, and it is up to us to take precautions and respect the power of nature. In the end, her death was a wake-up call to those who venture into the wilderness. As we continue to explore the natural world, let us remember Priya and take necessary precautions to ensure that such tragedies do not happen again. The lesson. In Priya's case, she took a risk that proved to be fatal. It is essential to have a healthy respect for nature and the animals that live within it. Even if you are an experienced adventurer, it is always wise to have a companion with you and to carry essential safety equipment. Her story also highlights the importance of wildlife conservation. Animals like tigers play a vital role in maintaining the delicate balance of ecosystems. It is our responsibility as humans to ensure that these animals have a safe and healthy environment to live in. By protecting wildlife and their habitats, we are not only preserving the natural world, but also safeguarding our own future. So stay safe, and stay informed, and stay cautious. You never know, your story could end up like Priya's. If you like this video, hit the subscribe button for more shocking wild animal encounters, and tell us in the comments which wildcat encounter would you like to see next. Until next time.